Hello bags, it's Jay, welcome to a JCraft Grounded video today, another update for the PTS, and we're going to examine a few changes, big changes. There's some brand new resources to craft super gas arrows, we're going to talk about that. Also how you are going to need to really go after the Termite King now, he's had a big change too, and it does look like some of you guys think it's not going to be an Albino Mantis as a boss, but instead a Orchid Mantis. So we'll take a look at the two differences, and let's go. So, crashes fixed for flying creatures, also to do with charcoal bag collision, lighting pass on upper yard interiors. Crusty roly-poly armour no longer requires sickly parts to repair. FYI, the sickly parts have all obviously been removed. When you kill either of the bugs, you'll get just the same roly-poly parts. Although there is something I've got to talk about in a second about that. Added more raw fibre, sprigs, pebblets, etc. to the upper yard. Green shield bug now drops unique resources needed to craft a new item type. So these are the super arrows. It drops a super stink bug bag, super stink bag, and this is what you can craft with them. They are stronger, they just are. I don't know if it's really that worth it unless they're going to start dropping more of these sort of big massive green shield bugs around the yard. You'd probably run out of these pretty quickly, so maybe you'd only specially use them for the biggest bosses or the biggest battles that you've got planned. But you can see they do a good amount of damage, more than a regular gas arrow, but not that much more. So I probably think that needs to be actually buffed a little bit more, or like I said, give us more opportunity to get hold of the super stink bug stuff. Apparently ladybird larvae were absolutely killing you whenever you tried using spicy stuff. Well, now they are going to take a bit more damage to spicy, but yeah, it looks like don't bother with any spicy tools or weapons. Looks like the ladybird larva just can handle the spice. Adjusted bug loop drop rates across new creatures. Termite King deals more damage and drops unique resources needed for the termite armor. So I went through quickly, I was doing my guide on all the new creatures that have been added, and yes, I did come across the new model of the termite. It looks pretty cool. It's actually black, completely black, with all these sharp edges at the back of it. And yes, he does drop a Termite King carapace, basically body parts that you can need now if you do want to go ahead and craft the armor. It looks like you get exactly the right amount to craft one set of termite armor, or one set of the chest piece at least. And that is it at the moment. So maybe if they do add the queen, because lots of you guys think there's going to be a termite queen in the future, that could be where we get maybe the actual helmet and the legs for it in the future. I did take a little look at some pictures of a actual queen, and yeah, they are large, but they're only probably about 4 or 5 times the size of a regular one. So I guess they could have one just sitting there, and maybe it fires minions at you, and we've got to take down the minions before hitting it at its weak spots if it is a big boss somewhere in the actual woodpile. The red highlight around damaged buildings while holding repair tool works properly now. They said that in the last update, but I guess hopefully it is now. Science zipline anchors are no longer can be copied. The building integrity custom game option actually enables building integrity. Pupa hides no longer fall through the level occasionally when harvesting pupas. Science ziplines can no longer be copied. Changed what background music plays while near the barbecue spill. Infected wolf spiders properly spawn for games that have already plugged the haze canister prior to the 0.12 public test build. I showed you guys a video with the infected spider yesterday, how it spawns underneath the oak tree, but it does take a good few days, and it was seemingly only on new games. Well, now don't worry, it does look like it is going to work on your saves, but you still may have to wait a few days if you go ahead and plug the gas canister. Adjusted respawn times for various bugs and items in the upper yard. Survey station UI has been updated to show more map, and the hotkeys while using the survey station work after mouse scrolling the map. And they've also added more loot onto the shed deck. Okay, let's talk about roly-poly. So at the moment, if you kill a sickly roly-poly, you're only going to get roly-poly parts. You're not going to get any of the roly-poly shells, and it's the shells that you need for a whole bunch of stuff. You'll only get the shells if you kill a full-blown roly-poly. It is a bit odd with this system. Like, I do understand why some people might be a bit grumpy that you're not getting the certain parts from a creature that is technically a little bit different. But, you know, a sickly version is still just a roly-poly. It isn't another variant completely. It's just one that feels a bit rubbish because it's been eating loads of junk food. So effectively, if you scan roly-poly parts, it will show up all the creatures, the ones in the south as well. And if you scan the roly-poly shells, then it will show all the ones up north. So effectively, it is the ones around the shed that you're going to get the shells from now. Will they change the skins of the roly-polies in future? Maybe, because it does still just feel a little bit too weird having them look exactly the same and do the same sort of attacks. The only real difference is their health pool. So yeah, a bit of a weird one. You might not be able to craft the actual roly-poly full arm sets now until you go ahead and kill the proper roly-polies rather than just the few that you find in the south of the yard. And yeah, it's not bug parts, it's just the lint, rope and the pupa leather to make some of the roly-poly stuff. Okay, it's time to put this to bed. Are we getting a Orchid Mantis or an Albino Mantis as a boss? Maybe I shouldn't be too surprised that lots of Grounded fans indeed like lots of knowledge about bugs, so well done for pointing some stuff out. And how stupid I am to realise that there is no Albino Mantises. Apparently they're only white for a little bit of time as they basically go through growing, and then they'll darken to either a brown or green colour. So thank you for everyone that corrected me on that. Like I said, I still just felt like they were slightly pink around the eyes. And from the images that I showed you guys, it's the in-game art is really small. I felt like that's what matched it a bit more. Especially when you start looking at close-up pictures of what you guys are assuring me that it actually is, which is the Orchid Mantis. And you're probably right. I guess the other thing to factor is, unless it is an adolescent mantis that we might find in Grounded, which will be relatively much smaller than a full-blown mantis, because think about it, I think a big full-blown one is like the size of your hand, whereas the orchid ones, they are definitely much smaller. You can see they pretty much rest on the tip of your thumb, but that still seems a bit too big. That's why I don't know, I still feel like it could be just a regular white mantis that's just not an adult. Either way, it's pretty terrifying, but yeah, I'm probably going to go with it then, right? I'll start calling it the Orchid Mantis and not the actual Albino Mantis. So these Mantis pieces have been in the game ages. You can't actually spawn new in, I've tried, and it just breaks the game every time you try and do it. But the in-game art is completely brand new, so that is something they've definitely added or adjusted. Are we going to see this actually added in this update? I just don't think so. I think if they're going to do anything, it will be the Queen Termite maybe, but I don't think we're going to see this boss for a long time. So there we go, that is all of the Grounded news today so far. I'm sure there'll be some more updates with the PTS. Still no word about when it's come to Xbox. Usually it's a week or 2 weeks. Given it's a fairly big update and I've had quite a few hot fixes, I'm going to go on a limb and say I don't think it's probably ready until the week after next. Now obviously Xbox fans can actually play it by jumping on the Xbox Insider program, but for some reason some of you guys keep telling me you can't see it. You know, what can I say? You need to look that stuff up. Most people can actually see that update ready for them. Anyhow, when's it actually going to come out? I reckon it could be the 1st or 2nd of February. Because for a while, that's when Grounded were doing the updates. Or they were doing them at the end of the month, and then they switched kind of, I think, with the Hot and Hazy update to the beginning of the month. Or maybe even the one before, the Doom and Shroom, was slightly at the beginning of the month. But either way, we'll find out soon, I'm sure. Anything else I missed? Don't worry, I've got you covered. I'm going to be going over some of the stuff I quickly showed you. And like I said, showing you more in-depth, proper legit guides on how to take care of some of these creatures, find the resources. So make sure you subscribe to JCraft, go and check out the rest of my old Grounded content on my actual big survival channel. But from now on here, Grounded is on JCraft. Let's go. Laters.